The president's deportation campaign is targeting criminals in the country illegally. However, the executive order allows for arrests and roundups in places that usually have been off limits. CBN Charlene Aaron has that story.
The new Trump administration has opened the door for federal immigration agencies to make arrests at places like schools, hospitals, and churches. This ends a policy that had been in effect since 2011 and leaves many in the Hispanic faith community on edge.
These changes has sent a chill up the spine of the Latino evangelical church.
Pastor Gabriel Salguero leads the gathering, a Latino-led Assemblies of God congregation in Orlando.
Listen, I live in the great state of Florida, and so Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans make up large parts of our faith communities, whether they're evangelical or Catholic.
Recently, Pastor Salguero talked about concerns he and other Hispanic faith leaders share now that schools and places of worship are no longer off limits.
I've gotten hundreds of calls and texts. And the question for pastors is exactly how are these policies going to be executed in sensitive places or sensitive locations? For example, if you execute a raid in a church in the middle of a worship service, and there are citizens, permanent legal residents, there are mixed status, all sitting next to each other in worship. And so that is one of the major concerns that or if we're doing community service, teaching English as a second language, or providing food pantries. We don't ask people about their citizenship status to give them communion or to provide food for them. We're just trying to follow the gospel mandate to love our neighbor.
According to the Homeland Security Department, criminals will no longer be able to hide in America's schools and churches to avoid arrest. During an interview on Sunday's Face the Nation, Vice President J.D. Vance was asked about the issue.
Of course, if you have a person who is convicted of a violent crime, whether they're an illegal immigrant or a non-illegal immigrant, you have to go and get that person to protect the public safety. That's not unique to immigration.
Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, tells CBN News he understands the fear.
I share a bit of that concern. I want to make sure they don't cross the line, meaning the administration. I'm hearing from bishops and pastors saying last Sunday our attendance dropped 15, 20% because there is a concern.
Rodriguez is confident, however, that only criminals will be targeted in such raids.
I can tell you firsthand, the administration is going into schools and churches and hospitals, but not to deport individuals who have been here 15, 20, 25 years who have never had a parking ticket. They're coming after the pedophiles. They're coming after the gangbangers. They're coming after the cartels, the coyotes, the human traffickers.
Still, Pastor Salguero worries about the negative impact this could have on the innocent within a congregation.
How are we going to ensure not striking fear in the citizens that are there at the same time, in children that are there at the same time?
Challenges Rodriguez says he's expressing to the White House.
I began a process in the past 48 hours to express my concern, and not just my concern, the concern of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, our network, and the concern of just Latino pastors and leaders across the country who supported him, by the way, in the election. So I am in that process as we speak.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Well, a group of Maryland congregations are challenging the policy in court. 5 Quaker groups, Gordon, also known as the Society of Friends, have filed that suit.
Well, let's hope the administration is listening and listening very carefully, that as these new policies are put into practice, that there's a standard of reasonableness. Churches have long been sanctuaries, and that is something that dates back for centuries. That's not something new. You don't want to turn that on its head. Churches should be safe places, and Congress can't pass any law. There can't be any administration order that interferes with the free exercise of religion. So there's a constitutional argument behind these court cases. In light of all of that, if there's an arrest warrant, well, that changes everything. No matter where the criminal is, the arrest warrant allows the law enforcement to come in and take that criminal away. And so that's been the standard. That's not something new. That's been around for a very long time. So let's realize what's being put in place. Let's make sure congregations are safe and secure, that they recognize, the law enforcement recognizes there are certain boundaries, and how do you exercise your arrest warrant authority and do so in a reasonable way.